Welcome back, everybody. So glad to have you here with me today. Whew, today's conversation is going to be a good one, and it's all about those hard, tough, rough conversations that we all have to have on a very regular routine basis, right? I am going to bet that you have likely worked with a client and or a colleague who absolutely either cannot take feedback well. They're just my dad would always say a hard nut to crack, so to speak. It can be challenging, in how to communicate with these people, right? The type. You're working on a project together, and when you give recommendations or thoughts to help improve things, you either hear crickets or you get some sort of defensive posture from the other person. Okay. This happened to me, in fact, just a couple of weeks ago. One of my consulting contracts that I have, I was working with a woman who I've always been happy, Heather. I've always been, pleasant and willing to do whatever we need to do to move things forward with this project or whatever. And she's just always been a little resistant with me. And I personally think it's caught up. The reason why is there's a lot of insecurities there. And I don't think, and also, on the disc, you all know that I preach and teach on the disc all the time. But the DISC profile, there's the 4 communication, personality buckets. There's the dominant type, which are they're extroverts and task-oriented people. There's the influencer types, which they're extroverts, but people-oriented people. Okay, I'm an I. I actually have a lot of D in me too, but, they're extroverts, but people-oriented. Our S types, our steady relators, are introverts, but people-focused. And our C types are introverts and task-focused people. So, think about a traditional accountant, somebody who's introverted, data-focused, non-emotional. That's what a C type is. All right. So I'm working with this woman, and one thing that I teach to you all, and I'm just going to go ahead and pause for a quick second. If you haven't downloaded my free cheat sheet on how to identify communication types and how to communicate with each, you need to do that. So my link in bio on Instagram, or you can go to my resources link on LinkedIn and just download the cheat sheet. It is such, oh, I got a piece of fuzz on my tongue. It's such a game changer. All right. It helps you be able to identify who those people are quickly that you're speaking to. And it just gives you the tools to be able to effectively communicate with, other types that might be different than you. Okay. Let me get back to the story now. So I'm working with this woman, and I've identified her as she is likely a CD type. So what that means is she is a little introverted, very data minded. Like, this woman is a project manager. So it's like there's a scope and sequence for everything. She is a checklist type of a girl, non-emotional. She's very results oriented as well too, but highly analytical, lots of data. But there was an edge about her. Let's just be honest. There was an edge about her as well. So I knew the type of person that I was working with. So when I would go into my meetings with her, I was prepared to go over the checklist. I knew not to talk about what she did this past weekend or how pretty the weather here in Texas might be. Okay. I didn't talk about any of that stuff. I got straight down to the nitty gritty of what I knew that she needed to hear from me in order to have an effective, meaningful conversation. Right. And our conversations were always very short, sweet, and to the point too, for that matter. But nevertheless, we were in a conversation one time. And nothing that I was saying, I was trying to give feedback. I'm a marketing and messaging expert. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've worked for global brands. I've worked for small brands and not large nonprofits and government. I was chief of public affairs. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but it's like, I know what the heck I'm talking about. And so when you hire me as a consultant to come in and give you feedback on messaging and marketing messaging, this is what I do every day, right? And she was arguing with me about what messaging needed to take place on some marketing collateral material. And I'll just be honest with you guys. What she wanted to do and what was going to be effective were completely opposite. And so I was trying to be, as nice, but yet firm as I could with, hey, this is what needs to happen. She wasn't having it. Okay. So I had to take a quick assessment because I could feel my blood starting to boil a little bit, right? Because we get, I'm like, I'm the expert. Why is she not listening to me? The fact of the matter is that it was going to be her way. And me continuing to push on something was not an effective strategy. All right. So I had to pause myself and be like, okay, great. We'll just do it that way. Okay, we'll just do it that way. And we ended up doing it, her way. And it was, I guess, fine. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to the ultimate outcome of it all, but nevertheless, sometimes you have to pause and go, is it worth it? Is it not? Have I made myself clear? Are they just not having it? I mean, the types, right? Okay, it's so hard to work with people who have a hard time receiving feedback, especially when the feedback is necessary to move things forward. Like seal the deal, sell the thing, book the appointment, whatever your call to action is, right? When you find that you're working with tough communication types, those tough personalities, my advice is to pause and identify the type of communication style that colleague or that client is, because it's highly likely, and in fact, I'm going to say it is 99.9% likely, there's a gap in your communication style. So you continuing to push that boulder up the mountain while they're pushing down on you, guess what, guys? They're going to win every single time if you don't take a moment to go, pause button here. Who am I dealing with, right? So let's talk about that. You have 4 different types. You've got the dominant type of communication style. Again, these people are extroverted yet task focused, but they are results oriented and to the point. They don't want to hear the story. They just want you to get to the bottom line. Okay. That's our dominant. There are D type personalities. Our I's are influencer types. They are extroverted yet people focused or positive. They're energetic and they're also to the point as well too. Our S type personalities, our steady relator types, are introverted yet people focused. They're collaborative, okay? They want the group to be all in harmony. They're indecisive at times and they need time to make decisions. And then our C type personalities are introverts yet task focused individuals. These people are non-emotional. That doesn't mean that they don't have emotions. I always have to insert that. But they are non-emotional. They're not going to show a whole lot of emotion at all. They're data driven and they need lots of information to make decisions. Okay, so those are our 4 types. So now that you know that those are the 4 types that we're dealing with, you need to consider trying one of these 2 approaches. Again, pause button, push the pause button first. That's what we're going for first. And then after you push the pause button, you need to be patient and supportive. It's important to approach your conversation with empathy and understanding. And believe me, y'all, that can be so freaking hard to do when you're like, dang it, why are they not listening to me? Like, I'm the expert, like, what's happening here? It is hard. It is hard, but I'm going to push you to pause, and approach the conversation with empathy and understanding. Listen first and try to create a space for them to express their thoughts and feelings. And here's how you do that. Our D and I, our dominant and influencer types, those extroverted types, will verbally express things more so than our S and C types, our steady relator and conscientious types. So if you find, again, they are the S and C types, you'll need to prompt questions to get them to talk to you. Okay, so it's incumbent upon you. I don't care what your communication style is. We're trying to get the person sitting across the table to communicate with you. So you're going to have to prompt questions, especially if they're an introvert. All right. So be patient, be supportive, prompt the questions, get them talking, try to figure out, the end result, like what it is that they're looking for. All right. Be patient and supportive. Number 2, focus on the impact. All right. This is a big one. Help that person understand how their communication is impacting others and what they could do to improve. So often people, they don't know what they don't know, right? And approaching your conversation with a little compassion and kindness goes a long way. Now, again, at the end of the day, it's like we can only do that for so long, and then we just have to be like, okay, this isn't working. We've got to move on, right? Okay, so let me give you the example of how I handled this woman, focusing on the impact. I was giving her feedback as to what that marketing message needed to look like, and I gave her the reasons why, and she didn't like any of the reasons that I gave her. So after a while, I was like, all right, I'm done here. Like I have focused on the impact. I have given her the information that she needed in order to be able to make decisions. She was going to do things her way, and that was just how it was going to be, right? So, but with our dominant types, you've got to be direct and tell them exactly what needs to improve. You cannot beat around the bush, all right? So if you're dealing with a dominant, results-oriented person, you better get to that point fast and don't mess around. All right. With our influencer types, those positive, energetic people, you've got to be kind with your approach and give them facts. Use words like, we can work together on this. We can work through this together, that kind of thing. All right. You've got to be positive, energetic, and you've got to be kind in your approach. There's still, absolutely the bottom line type people too, but they want to have some fun with it. So when you're working with the steady relator types, again, those introverts, yet people-focused people, you've got to be kind with your approach and give examples of what others are feeling and ideas of what they can do to help improve, right? They're big on collaboration. They're big on the team and the group. They want to make sure that the decision that they make is going to positively impact those around them. Be sure to ask for their thoughts and feelings and give them plenty of time to process and ask questions, okay? And then with our C types, those conscientious types, again, our data, analytical, logical people, non-emotional people, you have to give them facts and data for them to make improvements. They just want the facts. They just want the information. They don't want a story. Again, they just want facts. They don't want to hear about the emotion behind it either. So give them what they need in order to be able to move forward. So here again, at the end of the day, it's like we can be patient and supportive. We can focus on the impact to try to help, through navigate these challenging conversations. At the end of the day, like what happened with me, people have got to meet you where you're at. And if they are dead set on it being a certain way, then, as long as we have pushed pause and we've been patient and supportive and we focused on the impact and they still want to move in a different direction, great. We've got to release that, surrender that, and go on about our business, right? But those are the two things that I try to do. I'm not perfect at it, so I'm kind of preaching to myself here too, for that matter. But those are the two things that I try to do to navigate challenging conversations. And I think above all, y'all, if there's one thing that you can take away from this, push pause. When you find that your blood is boiling, and for me, it's like I start getting hives right here. I mean, my neck gets red. I get really upset. When I find that that is going on, push pause, take a moment, and figure out how you can circumvent or bring back the conversation. Okay? So I hope this was helpful. If it was, I'd love for you to share this episode on social media, take a screenshot, share it, tag me on it as well too. And I will see you back next week.